In this video, we are going to go over how to solve simple equations. These are otherwise known as one-step equations. I have listed here on your screen the 4 steps that we are going to be using to solve these equations. The first thing we need to do is identify the variable we are trying to solve for. Step 2, identify what is preventing the variable from being by itself, and we have to determine what operation is needed to undo it. Step 3, we will perform that operation. Step 4, we will circle our final answer. Now below the steps here, I have 2 charts listed for you, just as a refresher. What are our 4 basic operations? Well, we have plus, minus, multiply, and divide. Next to it in the chart, I also have listed the opposite operation. So the opposite of addition is subtraction, the opposite of subtraction is addition, the opposite of multiply is divide, the opposite of divide is multiply. So you can always turn back to this screen to help you identify what the opposite operation is. Let's look at a first example. Here we have that n plus 10 is equal to 18. Well, step 1 says we must identify what we are trying to solve for. Well, I'm going to do that by putting a box around the variable I'm trying to solve. I am trying to solve for n. So step 1 is now complete. Step 2 was to identify what was preventing it from being by itself. That's that plus 10. How do we undo a plus 10? We would need to subtract 10. So I'm writing that off to the side. As we get good at this, these steps 1, 2, 3, we're not necessarily going to be writing those down in words, but I'm doing that in the video to help guide your thinking as you are solving these problems. Step 3 was to step 3 was to actually perform that operation. So we needed to actually subtract 10 from both sides. So we'd subtract 10 here. We have to subtract it on the other side of the equation as well. So that's going to give us an n. A plus 10 minus 10 is going to cancel out, which is going to leave us with just the n on the left, and on the right we have an 18 minus 10, which is going to give us an 8. Step 4, circle your final answer, and you have solved your first simple or one-step equation. Let's look at another example. Here we have x plus 4 is equal to negative 10. What am I trying to solve for? I'm trying to solve for x. What is preventing it from being by itself? That plus 4. What is the opposite of plus? Subtract. So we need to subtract 4. Step 3 is to actually do it. So you're going to subtract 4 on both sides. Now when we do that, we get an x. The plus 4 and minus 4 gives us 0, which cancels out. And a negative 9 minus 4 gives us a negative 13. Step 4, we can circle our final answer. Let's look at another example. Here it looks slightly different just because the variable's not listed first. It really doesn't matter what side our variable is on to begin with. The end goal is we still want it to be by itself. So what we want by itself is that p. We need to figure out what's preventing it, that negative or minus 18. And we would undo a minus 18 by plus 18. Step 3 is to actually do that. So we're going to add 18 to both sides. Negative 18 plus 18 cancels out. That leaves us 0 on the left. Negative 18 plus 18 gives us 0. That cancels out, leaving us with a p. Generally, when you solve for variables, you write the variable first. As far as I'm concerned for class, I don't care which way you write it. Either one is going to be acceptable. Let's look at example 4. Here we have negative 6 plus y is equal to 9. What am I trying to solve for? I'm trying to solve for that y. What is preventing it? That minus 6. And we would need to add to get rid of it. So we would need to add 6 to both sides. Plus 6 over here. And plus 6 on that side. Minus 6 and plus 6 cancels out, leaving us with just y on the left like we wanted. And 9 plus 6 is going to give us 15. Circle our final answer. Let's look at another example. Here we have 20n is equal to negative 80. What are we trying to solve for? We're trying to solve for that n. What is preventing it from being by itself? That times 20. How do you undo times or multiplication? We would need division. And I am not a very good speller. I'm pretty sure there's not going to actually be an I there. So we just need a O in division. There's a reason I'm a math teacher, not an English teacher. Spelling is not my strength. So we have finished step 2. Now we need step 3, which is to actually perform. So we need to divide 20 on both sides. (20n) divided by 20, those 20s divide to equal 1, canceling out, leaving us with an n, and negative 80 divided by 20 is going to give us a negative 4. Step 4, circle our final answer. Let's look at another example. Here we have 7x equals 98. What am I trying to solve for? I'm trying to solve for x. What is preventing it from being by itself? That times 7. And we undo times or multiplication with division. I'm going to say divide. That's easier for me to spell. So now we are left with step 3, which is to actually divide both sides by 7. Now when we do that, 7 divided by 7 gives us 1, leaving us with an x, and 98 divided by 7 gives us a 14 for a final answer that we circle. Let's look at another example. Here is where a lot of people panic because, oh my god, we have a fraction. It is nothing to be scared about. All that fraction means is divide. So we have an n divided by 9. What are we trying to solve for? That n. What is preventing it from being by itself? That divide by 9. How do you undo divide? So we would need to multiply. So to perform, we're going to multiply both sides by 9. So when I do that, the 9 and then divided by 9 cancels out, leaving us with just the n, and negative 19 times 9 is equal to negative 171. So we have our final answer, and we can circle it. Let's look at one final example. Here we have an x divided by 12 is equal to 14. We are trying to solve for x. That divide by 12 is what is keeping it from being by itself. You undo division with multiplication. So we want to multiply both sides. By 12. When I do that, the 12 divided by 12 cancels out, leaving us with the x, and then 14 times 12 is 168. So we have our final answer. So in this video, just to recap, we have gone over how to solve simple or one-step equations. We worked examples where we had to use addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Hopefully this video helps you understand or remember, if you have already done this, how to solve simple or one-step equations.